right off the bat, rather, a ban on Vayne. That's not something you're going to see every single game, guys.
And maybe we won't see it when the Relic Shield meta is toned down a little bit in patch 8.2, but after carrying on Vayne, it feels like Ghost doesn't have the confidence to take a stronger laning AD carry and actually take the pain to Teddy. So big respect on the first ban on blue side. Tempt has already shown, and we know all about the Galio meta, so definitely more standard meta stuff following it.
Yeah, we are going to see a ban on Ryze too. Hasn't had his Realm Orb with the Zhonya's nerf just yet. It's a big reason why he's very powerful. Another big meta mid laner in the Malzahar is going to get banned on the side of Jin Air here.
He's banning away for BBQ because Tempt is 3-1 on the Malzahar and actually hasn't found success on anything else barring one game of Galio. So having that guaranteed engage for Tempt, interestingly, has been a very big point for BBQ on blue side. Final ban of the Kog'Maw. There's still a lot of power left open here. The Ezreal, for example, that Teddy destroyed with in game 1 against MVP will be looked at. That lane was Ezreal Alistair from Teddy and Wraith was a legacy Alistair player. Looked great on it even in his Samsung Galaxy days.
You guys might guess what the 100 means. It says, yeah, let's go to 100 minutes today. I'm sure some people want it, some people don't.
I'm ready for it. I want it, Valdez. You might think I'm ready for my weekend, but I want to see more records broken every time Jin Air is available. This is a new trend. Look at this. So first pick Zoe is very interesting to see. First professional game of Zoe for Tempt, who is this mid laner who I said preseason to look at. He's had a bit of an up and down season. You can't really say too much about Malzahar play. Let's see if he can make us a believer of the Zoe, because it feels like the best Zoe we've seen in Korea, having been denied. Faker's Zoe so far has been Edge, who had a massive game yesterday for Kongdu Monster.
If you guys didn't watch that, there's a reason why they 2-0'd KSV yesterday, and that was part of the reason, right? When he was playing that Zoe, it was unbelievable, and no doubt we're going to be seeing more and more of that as players begin to realize her true potential.
Especially when Galio is nerfed. Sorry, Galio's banned in this case. Unavailable, so can't just hold the Zoe very accountable in the mid lane and then roam better than her. Red side so far, Umti's favorite, and hey, maybe it's another one of those laning phase picks here. Teddy's unsure, given there is Kalista open as well. But with Kalista open, they interestingly will price Ezreal over the Kalista, suggesting a bit more proactivity in the gameplay here from Jin Air.
Let's see what BBQ wants to do. You'll notice that the Kalista does get picked up, as you were saying. But we've been seeing more and more Wombo combo comps as well. And you notice on the side of Jin Air, they go for Kha'Zix and Ezreal, two picks that are very mobile and can jump out of the way. And, well, the Jarvan's still going to be a strong pick in this meta.
Now it is Justice starting here today for Jin Air GreenWings. Grace played in the last series against MVP, but they're giving time to Justice, who was involved in some of their victories earlier in the season. Justice will be going for the Azir. He's played 3 games so far and does have a victory on the Azir. Only champion he dropped a game on was the Orianna. So going to be going with some power here. You know that even if Ezreal's early to mid game, the late game god is Azir. Cool.
That's definitely Teddy.
Yep.
He says kata.
Let's go.
I said it was a meme. I'm not joking. It's all over Korea right now. All the streamers are saying it. All the players are saying it. Basically just a drawn out let's go, and it's become like the national cry for lots of pro gamers. We are going to see the Vladimir bound out, another pick that's coming in nowadays as it's so good. It can really ramp up, and especially in the late game. I'll let you talk about this.
Yeah, it's strong in a vacuum as well. Like you're saying, this power level with the support items as strong as they are on 8.1. It's split pushing, the ability to flank is very powerful, but also the interaction with GP is the one that's the very interesting question here, because it feels like Gangplank in every lane except for the Vladimir lane is going very well, and Jin Air will actually drop a ban on the red side. Very interesting, not even a junk ban, they just drop a ban completely. See what BBQ makes of this. Gangplank, like I mentioned, is available right now. We're looking for top laners and supports in the final round of the draft. So Braum, for example, very high priority. No pick comp enabled on either side, but Tahm Kench a possibility just to answer Zoe on the red side. So we could just see Tahm Kench locked in if it's up, and an Ornn ban here, suggesting that maybe Ignar didn't want to actually go the way of the Braum.
Yeah, and the Brahm's still available here, but not going to be picking it up is Wraith. He actually goes for the Alistar as the pick here with the Ezreal.
And they recreate the lane that dominated MVP. Pilot and Max dying in the 2v2 laning phase to the Ezreal Alistar. So bringing it back here, other side of Jin Air. Every time I see Gangplank locked in against Jin Air, I start to pray and hope, because So1, before he was a competitive player, was one of the most famous one-trick Rivens in Korean solo queue, and Riven destroys Gangplank in lane, barring an immense amount of jungle pressure.
You know, I think it might happen in this series, but not in game one. That's what I'd say.
I'm a believer. Let's give me some Riven on the red side. We want to see it. Wraith, just lock it in. Don't even ask So1.
I think it would be if they destroy game one, and then they go into game two, and then Crazy gets Gangplank again, and then they're like, okay, let's try it. But
getting confirmation from production that it was a running out of time issue, which still could have been intentional, but we'll assume it was a mistake from the side of Jin Air. Still waiting for a final pick here. Team fight come from BBQ with strong poke coming through. The siege is entirely going to be the Zoe. A lot of answers here. The conventional one would be something like the Camille, which right now Jin Air are considering. Would also mean more likelihood of some big headbutt pulverizers. So no Riven, sadly, but we'll get the Camille. We'll get a laning focus from So1, going back to his roots as an aggressive laner. You look over the side of Jin Air GreenWings. Very interesting draft that's come together. They're going to have pressure in the top side. In the mid lane, we've seen Zoe's destroy the Azir's Crown, for example, destroyed by Kuro's Zoe. So I think that lane is a bit swingy, and certainly Kha'Zix can have a say in it. Whereas bot lane, normally you'd be in favor of the Kalista in the laning phase, but I feel like Wraith is very polished on Alistar, and Teddy could not be in better form on the Ezreal. Yeah. So while we don't necessarily have winning drafts, you look at Jin Air and say, okay, you're putting together some of the greatest hits of what worked against MVP. Let's see if you can roll it back and do the same to a BBQ roster.
I definitely think Umti's going to have to step up a little bit here. He's going to have to help out Justice in the mid lane. He's going up against Tempt, right? You mentioned it before. It's not just the Zoe, but Tempt is one of the better mid laners that we do have in Korea right now. A lot of the top guys really respect this guy and say he is one of the best. And you put him on a very mechanical champion like Zoe in a matchup like this, Umti is going to have to help out there. He can also look for dives up in the top lane against Gangplank if they want to make something with that and get the ball rolling with Camille. So I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on the junglers in this matchup.
Very high price on the Jarvan for Trick, though. Trick hasn't been going to champions like Jarvan as much this season. First game on the Jarvan. We've been impressed by Raze's pathing on this champion. Let's see some good pathing from Trick. You can turn around those turret dives or punish. One advantage BBQ does have with this draft is they have Jarvan and Taric. Probably going to be Cinderhulk Jarvan. So they do have two people who can face check and put down vision, get the control wards down, have Zoe launch the trouble bubbles. Only one tank on the side of Jin Air GreenWings, and it's the support. So it's only Wraith there. So if we ever see Wraith's ultimate used, there is the chance that sheer poke can rain down from the Zoes. There are win conditions there. Whenever you're low tankiness comp, there is always questions if you fall behind.
For sure. So guys, we do have the countdown ready to go. Let's jump into game number one of BBQ Olivers versus the Jin Air GreenWings. Here we go. Match 19, game number one. As we do jump into this one, Gillette, the best a man can get, down on the bottom right. I'm sure we'll see BBQ as well.
We know what's good here.
Yeah.
We know we'll have our chairs, we'll have our BBQ chicken.
They brought the chicken again. They're bringing it every single day, and I think that's because they're now an official sponsor of the whole tournament.
You're speaking my language, Valdez. I'm hyped about that. I'm not hyped about how many of the stopwatches I see on the side of BBQ. They got 5. They are ready to go golden.
I mean, I'm hyped about it. They've identified that it's really strong, and they're like, let's abuse it, right?
And noticeably, Jin Air has not abused it. We only see 1 on the side of Umti, just for resetting turret aggro. So we will be able to test our hypothesis of 5 stopwatches versus 1. What does it mean? Speaking of history here, 5-4. So very close rivalry between Jin Air and BBQ, which going the way of BBQ, one of our cellar dwellers. Probably a compliment to them. So they've had the tonic to deal with Jin Air in the past.
Look at Trick's pathing. You were talking about this. He's going deep, right into the Wolves. He wants to find Umti. He's going to see the Wolves aren't taken, and they're going to spot each other in the jungle here.
Yeah, Umti going for the single target camp actually did surprise Trick a bit. He wanted to find him at Wolves, EQ in, and try to kill him with red buff. It means that both top laners know that the jungle is up bot side, so a lot of safety for Camille to just use hookshot to harass. Often get that at level 1 or level 2.
Yeah, and you'll notice that the Zoe tempt in the mid lane is pushing in very, very fast, which gave Trick the ability to go that deep in and just be safe. There was no way for Azir to really respond to that.
As the aggressive hookshot I was talking about, you usually have to be a lot more judicious about your use of it in lane for Warrior being ganked, but no way the jungler's going to be there to react on the top side. Speaking of junglers, Umti's like, well, I know you're not at blue buff, rushes straight to it, level 3 already. Trick, because he was invading, to actually get to one of his camps took a lot longer. So by the time he gets there, he's still level 2, killing his raptors. It's going to be a clean blue buff steal for Umti, and it's going to be a 3 buff also.
Really fantastic start for Umti. I was saying that there will be pressure on this guy, and he might not stop there. He put a ward down, and he's like, well, let's go for the Gromp as well. But again, you don't want to get too greedy with this. Trick will spot this. What can he really do? He's going to get that and easily just leaping away as Umti.
But no opportunity cost. He knew the blast plant was up, so he always had an escape. If the EQ came in, of course, it already skilled his E, so able to get out for free there. Steals away a blue buff, so extended duration on that one, and a perfect timer also is pretty big news for the side of Umti, and it's what happens when you invade and don't actually force the enemy jungler to recall. It's pretty big cost. It's the leap once again, very helpful. There was extra burst on Tempt. He had picked up the GLP, so that could have been pain.
That might have been first blood. I mean, Umti did have leap and his flash. So if that was going to hit him, perhaps he would have just flashed away, as he does know the ability of Zoe to do some crazy stuff, even early on in the game.
Not as famous at level 4, but Kha'Zix's very squishy, so you're never 100% clear what will happen there. We are clear that with Ignar being able to use passive off cooldown, Teddy and Wraith have been pushed in, and don't see any solo kills in the lane just yet, which is good news for BBQ.
Teddy stacking up the items. Klepto still good on this patch. It is 8.1. We were talking about this on Friday. Oh wow, Cleanse actually burned here. We were talking about this Friday, but we think that 8.2 is not going to be coming out next week on Tuesday, and we might have to wait an extra week. So we will be getting more of these style of games.
Well, you know, what is there to say? We don't have 4 Relic Shields in this game. Teddy's gone for laning phase and has gone for the Doran's Blade, probably to the frustration of Wraith. His gold generation is going to be a bit lower, but after already crushing in lane, he's going to be a bit more aggressive, but he knows he's on Jin Air and still does have Gathering Storm.
That's awesome. I love it. I mean, it means that you are foregoing other stuff, but at the same time, he's identified like, hey, I'm the guy that takes games into 50, 60 minutes. Gathering Storm is going to be good.
There's a lot of runes that have kind of questionable value for an AD carry. For Ezreal, for example, you understand free boots, but you can also go past the free boots if you want to just pick up boots earlier to be able to sidestep the Dazzle. You know, if you're ever baiting out your E, you might have to sidestep the Dazzle, so no free boots this time for Teddy. And we're seeing less people pick up the free boots mastery, or rune, I should say, over time.
Okay, we got Umti hanging around, but already running over a ward. You got Trick over here as well. They're looking for first blood. He interrupts the leap. Stopwatch, though, is available. He wants to get on top. Very nice. Emperor's Divide will mean that he gets away for now, but forcing that flash out as well. First blood in the top lane. We actually missed it. No doubt we are going to get a replay of that as Solon gets the solo kill on the counter matchup.
He runed for lane. He went for the Comet, getting the proc on the W reliably, and usually we don't see the solo kill, but still great work from Soan. Exit ultimatum used just after pinging level 6. Sad that we missed it, but you can kind of do the math and say that, I guess, Crazy took a bad trade, got flashed on, and was dead. Let's see the replay here. So Crazy's actually at 50% HP, but Soan goes all in, ults from there, nothing crazy can do. No outplay to this one. Tried to flash, but nice follow flash from So1 when his W came off cooldown. So more mechanics than I expected. Still going to be flash parity, but first blood to So1.
A 2-frame trick out of So1, you have to say. Right on top of it, knew exactly what the response would be. And a lack of respect for the lane from Crazy. He was, even level 5, he knew he was going to hit level 6 on the next minion, but even so, you really have to be careful when you're in this type of lane against Camille.
A lot more control for Ghost and Ignar against the Ezreal, so we're not seeing a repeat of the incredible performance by Teddy. If you missed game 1 against MVP, 6 items pre-30 minutes was something you'll never see again in competitive play for a long time. Confirmed first blood for So1.
50% of the damage. Easy to just sit there and you know, do a bunch of damage. Sorry guys, I'm having trouble with my monitor, but we'll get that fixed. But yeah, we're looking at this bottom lane. It's hard for Teddy. He's being pushed in over and over, and the same can be said about mid lane. The Zoe's doing good work against the Azir. Kind of what we expected.
Want to point also to the fact that you see the first item purchase here for Ghost is going to be boots too. So another player who is not going to be opting in for inspiration and the free boots rune and going for just a boots rush to abuse the fact that most people aren't picking up free boots. The meta evolving there is a return to top lane.
He's not getting away. He has the stopwatch though. We'll see if he can buy some time for the TP, but it's too late. Now we got Tempt and Trick. They want to follow up on this 2v2. We are going to have the knockup follow-up. No flash here for MT into the Cataclysm, but we will have at least the Camille getting away for the 1v1.
Yeah, Justice didn't even stay in mid lane to push in minions. Not a lot of punishment for the extra members of BBQ that are invested. The Trouble Bubble did hit onto Umti. No way for him to get out, use his leap to get into the ultimatum field, but still piling on the pressure to Crazy, who has been able to stay competitive in CS, but now 2 deaths. This time actually is going to be punished as his teleport is not available. We're going to watch the replay here. Coming through a control ward. Great gank timing by Umti. The all-in, pretty straightforward. He has the stopwatch available this time around, so it takes a bit longer for Crazy to go down. But Tempt does, importantly, hit the Trouble Bubble, and from there, lights out for Umti.
Yeah, not much he can do. Trick tries to follow up against the Camille. We have live, So1 in a bit of trouble, 1v2. This time, maybe he will not be able to get away. Trying to block it, and he does with the flash into the flag and drag. Should be enough damage. Needs a little bit of a follow-up, and the barrel is going to secure it up there towards the top. So much effort put in just to gank one small Camille.
Yeah, there was so much counterplay available right at the end. If the W had hit in the further field, there would have been the healing, of course, coming through. It doesn't. Really nice play from Trick to interrupt any sort of escape. Starts to actually halt the progress of the Camille on top lane. She also will not have teleport and lose multiple minions. So this swinging top lane matchup that is Camille favored, Ceteris Paribus, will actually start going the way of the Gangplank. He's getting the Klepto procs, and now actually being able to address the CS lead that So1 decided to bring out.
Yeah, MT getting aggressive in the jungle once again. If he has Smite, he can get this. He doesn't have a Smite, though. Looking to get Vision with the flag is Trick, and he does smite it away. So nicely done, getting there just in time to deny the steal. Oh, he hits it! He hits it, but it's very far away. Justice trying to make this not so good. It looks like it was too far away for Tempt really to follow up.
I mean, it looked like it was too far away to hit Umti. That was insane range.
Yeah.
If you put it right down the wall on the passageway there. We looked for Trick to be more proactive. He drafted for proactivity, and just like Raze has impressed us on this Jarvan, also seeing some impressive pathing from the side of Trick, as Trick and Umti have spent most of the game about 500 units away from each other.
Trading some Raptors once again. It's that bubble, but no opportunity. Some creeps in the way.
Justice has played very respectful. He used his cleanse early, you notice, just to cancel out damage. He was level 4 at the time and just used it because he didn't want to take a full range paddle star. The end result has been he's given up about 3 minion waves as well, so he's been super respectful while his jungler has been putting attention top and bot. So Trick actually getting successful ganks while his mid laner has allowed himself to be denied. Between that and Klepto, with the kill score even, the gold lead is building for BBQ.
Ignar's pathing kind of funny. He came mid and healed up the Zoe, then put down a couple of deeper wards as he just left Ghost bottom by himself up against Teddy. Tarek having multiple uses. He did run over a ward in his own jungle, so they knew he was there.
Not often you'll see minion dematerializer on Justice, but with less people taking free boots, one of the bigger options is Justice.
There's that flash. Tempt, he is not able to flash away. In fact, he does have the stopwatch here. And 1Q should do it. They're going to give the kill over to Azir. Probably a smart idea to get the Azir ramped up.
It gets Justice back into the game. I love the confidence from one of our more rookie status players to actually go in aggressively, trust in the scoop range of the ultimate and make that work. Credit to Justice, who, of course, is sharing that starting spot with Grace as well. Jin Air confident enough in him to give him an extended run in the team, and so far, I would say there's not that much to separate Grace and Justice.
Bit of damage here, 1v1 is versus Trick, and even a TP coming in. They want to go on to this. The leap is down. He does have his flash, but he's going 1v1. The stopwatch comes in. Oh, but the trouble bubble is going to get it. He flashes for the kill. And in the end, it's a 1-for-1 trade. They give another kill over to the Zoe, and he loses his flash.
It ends up being advantage BBQ because Trick didn't have to use a summoner there. The teleport was to mid lane anyway, so nothing is denied from Tempt, and Tempt picking up the kill credit is just fine when Trick is going to be building full tank from the jungle. So had to flash to spare something in the exchange, but it ends up being slight advantage to BBQ, more kill contributions, and no need for Tempt to leave lane. These trouble bubbles are starting to be scary accuracy, Valdez.
He's hitting them one after another, and you can see more respect out of Justice as Shurima shuffles his way out of the way.
You're gonna see the replay as fancied his damage in this scenario. Trick doesn't use EQ at the start at all. Credit there, so he allowed himself to lose damage trades. As it ended, Trick thought be able to pass over the kill. Had to be a flash in. Kha'Zix would have died, most likely without it. So it ends up being a 1-for-1. But one of the reasons I want to point out on the minimap, why things are going so well for Tempt on the side of BBQ around mid. 3 control wards on the bottom side around the Cloud Drake, and to provide vision for the Zoe means that she's been able to dart out, pop those trouble bubbles like we saw onto Zia trying to get back into lane. And if you have that much coverage and the accuracy that Tempt is showing off, at least in the early game, this is the possibility that Zoe will provide.
I want to see Soan. You know, we've seen him move into the river multiple times. I want to see him pair up with and try to get on top of Trick. He does have his flash available, Trick does, but especially with this blue buff up, and looking to get more and more aggressive. See what they can do. Control ward comes up there, denies some vision, but still moving over is Justice.
Seeing invade, but against control ward, so didn't have full information trying to take down enemy mid lane, or just steal away the blue, probably more realistically. Haven't been returned to top side, as we do see Soan looking for some aggressive trades.
He's really clean on the Camille. You were talking about his Riven, but I mean, it's clear this guy, as more of a carry top laner, has done his work and practice on this matchup of Camille versus Gangplank.
One of the reasons why it took so long for him to be blooded into competitive play. He played 1 game a season for roughly his first 3 LCK seasons, and only really got a starting berth in summer of 2017, was because it took a long time for him to adjust to the tank meta. I would say on tanks, on Rumble, he's certainly developed, but this is comfort for him. This is definitely the time for him to shine. He's the only top laner on the roster. It's a good time for confidence. His blue buff being contested.
Lots of fighting in this game so far. Already 7 kills at 15 minutes, and it doesn't end there. Going for Trick now is empty, but you can see that BBQ doesn't want any part of this fight.
Every blue buff, it feels like, is being contested. After stole away the first with the 3 buff, and from there it has meant the timers have been available to both sides. BBQ's had lots of lane control bot side with Kalista pushing up on the Ezreal. They've had control wards until now. Notice that the vision advantage is finally gone for the side of BBQ around the Drake. No Drake take at 16 minutes, despite having all that control and the Kalista rend. Means that the objective game isn't going as cleanly for BBQ as it could have been.
Yeah, talk about lots of invades as well. It has a lot to do with vision, but also the mobility on the majority of the champions in the top jungle and mid positions for both teams, outside of the gangplank, I suppose. But yeah, they've been looking for opportunities wherever they can get them, trying to be active in this game. And now we do have the Rift Herald being started here by UMT. No vision at all, only control wards and wards for the red team, Jin Air.
Jin Air have this interesting draft where they have very low engage. Only Hextech Ultimatum and an Alistair really are true engage on their side. So when the game is super even like this, Jin Air not having force can definitely be relevant as the game goes on. The sort of thing that could stall the game is how good Azir's wave clear is and how low the engage is on red side. Jarvan, the only true engage in the entire game next to the Kalista with the Taric. So engage options for BBQ. They're the ones who can force. When they have vision, Zoe and their engage will really pay off in spades. But because no one's actually playing around an objective, it's not been relevant for now because we just haven't seen any vision bait plays by BBQ with all the turrets still up.
Looks like we might have our first turret taken out though, as Ghost and Ignar, the eventual push does come out to a turret. All of that gold is given over to Ghost. They really want to get their AD carry riled up here with as many items as possible.
Standard Blade the Ruin King into the Hurricane, and also the new standard in terms of Kalista rune choices. No more Fleet Footwork Kalista in Korea. Every Kalista we've seen this week has gone lethal tempo for the crazy attack speed in team fights when you can go over the cap very reliably. Going to be very high attack speed build as well.
Crazy missing his chance at exploding the barrel on this wave, so is going to use his cannon barrage to just clear the wave. Doesn't want to have his turret go down soon.
There's a control ward for So1 at the brush closest to top lane, so that was just, there's a decent chance I'm being ganked. We don't have vision on the enemy jungler, so ulting the wave was the safest choice. Looks a bit silly now that a long cooldown has been wasted, but with the limited information he had, it wasn't the wrong play.
He's got TP up. He was thinking about going back, but decides to stick in the lane for now.
Probably going to see a Rift Herald channeled in top lane to try to answer the turret count.
Maybe even a gank. Hextech Ultimatum is available. There's that stun. Rift Herald comes in, and yeah, he's just going to push him back.
Good pathing from Taric. He's already here, and Zoe will skip along, so probably won't actually be the turret kill, but a lot of turret damage for the side of Jin Air.
That's a nice little chunk. They're looking for their first turret, and in the lane that you're supposed to win, that would be the best lane to use it in. We do have the rotation coming on up. Teddy and Wraith going top. Oh, here's the burst. Oh boy, MT nearly goes down. Survives with just a sliver of health.
900, 1,000 damage on that one. Surprised that UMT was able to just tank it. He almost looked a fool. Could have used his leap. I guess leap might have been down, but from what we saw, it looked like he just chose not to leap.
Meanwhile, under vision, they're going to take away this Cloud Drake. Doesn't seem like Jin Air really cares, and of course the bot lane is top right now. Looking for their first turret of the game. We'll be going down here to Teddy.
Want to note that despite the fact we've seen UMT involve a lot of brawling and being second best in some of the recent engagement, he does have 2 kills and farm parity with the Jarvan. So if you look, he actually does have a very nice 20-minute build. He's already finished his Duskblade. Having that completion gives him a lot of power. From here, it's probably looking like more damage. Already has a long, so it could be Black Cleaver. But it's not going to be QSS as far as we can see, and that certainly makes him free food if a Trouble Bubble ever hits.
He's just another one of those squishy members. You think about their composition.
I mean, who's tanking Paddle Stars in the late game, Valdez? Yeah. Nobody.
Wraith with ultimate up only, basically. If they want to live.
I mean, you hit a Trouble Bubble onto Wraith. He probably has to ult in the ultra late game. No one else has that liberty, so there is quite a lot of concerns for them drafting Squishy after the very early Zoe lock-in. Was first picked here by BBQ, so a lot of information was available for Jin Air. And when you're against Zoe with low tankiness, the only person who can face check is the Alistair. The only person who can tank a Trouble Bubble is the Alistair. Does concern you a little bit that it might just be Zoe deciding an even game, and we have been given that even game. We have been given the same sort of game that could go ultra long here, Valdez.
Yeah. It's a nice steal on the blue there by the Ezreal. It may not look like a lot, but it allows him to be even stronger here with that Iceborne Gauntlet. He can just spam his Mystic shots over and over. And he also denies the blue from the Zoe, which is pretty good for the mana regen, but also for the cooldown reduction. She's building a lot, but she's not going to be able to hit 40 here unless she did take Transcendence, which is a possibility. We did see actually Edge taking that on the Zoe, just to try to hit 40 or 45 even as fast as possible on the Zoe.
Yeah, some people prioritize hitting the cap, other people don't. Runes haven't been as figured out as you might have expected. There was the time where if it was Inspiration second, it was free boots and it was stopwatch, but more and more people are feeling the pinch of not having boots one pre-10 minutes and are actually opting out of that mastery.
Yeah, and I noticed now that Tempt actually has cooldown boots, so he definitely is at the cap at the moment here. Trick over at the Raptors. Actually decides to engage. We're missing it right now. He's going in onto Umti. He's got Ignare nearby. There's the Dazzle, forcing the flash away from Umti. Nice little summoner spell to get out of him right now.
Yeah, very nice waiting on the flash there by Umti. Of course, baiting it out should be credit BBQ, but waited for both the Cataclysm and the Dazzle to be channeled and got away from both. No death onto the Kha'Zix, but no jungler. Means free control and
Damn, the accuracy right now out of Tempt. He's done his practice on the Zoe. He's got all the angles down.
It's always awkward when you hype up a mid laner and their champion pull doesn't really suit the kind of playstyle you're looking for. 4 games of Malzahar and their only real victories. And there wasn't really much time to praise Tempt. But his accuracy on the Zoe, you know, we've seen some great Zoe play this particular series. Would love to see accuracy on Trouble Bubble because it'd be higher than you expect at this point in the game. We'll get lower as the game goes on as you start fishing, but seeing So1 try to ignore the gangplank and get some turret damage going.
It's a good way to start getting some chip damage, especially if Crazy's not there to lay down some barrels onto the wave. His most reliable way to get rid of the wave.
Justice has gone for a lower damage build on the Azir, extra health on the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, but this is more of a target acquisition build since you get the slow on the first attack command on the soldier. So just a little bit different there. Still going to be Liandry's at some point, but we often see Liandry's second just for slightly more consistent damage in a fight.
They already have so much damage on their lineup that he doesn't necessarily need to be spamming the damage.
Makes sense. So like the control is stronger than the burst right now.
Yeah. Also, you know, he can slow down multiple members for his teammates, and he has some really long-range poke. We do have Trick in a bit of trouble. He just flashed away, but this may have just been a bait. Umti getting pretty low, and the Cannon Barrage coming in. He's going to survive, but once again, he's just not very useless in the fight if he loses all of his health right at the beginning. I
mean, it's so risky to initiate or to face check as Umti because you're against a team that has the global. They have the gangplank to trade up in a 4v4 scenario. Camille will stay bot lane and maybe get some turret damage. Jin Air going to continue poking. He's got Iceborne Gauntlet, Blade the Ruined King, his 3-item core, and the red buff. So he's very powerful, even though he's not fed.
Barrel doing some work on the wave once again, but another third of the turret goes down. Seems like an eventuality in the bottom lane that Gangplank will be pushed in.
Yeah, no BF sword item, and early in the game, only just got 5 points into his E, means that he doesn't instant clear the mini wave. You often need to crit it to instant clear it. So as of right now, the play pattern from So1 is smart. He doesn't have one barrel wave clear of especially the front line, but not. So that means that he's able to get the turret damage in that later might be impossible and do it pretty safely.
So1 this time deciding not to be diving in. He wants to clear out some vision. Looks like going in and clearing out that control ward. Battle of the 80 carries in the mid lane as MT puts down his own deep ward. He's got a zombie ward in that brush. Next dragon is going to be another Cloud Drake, so would be pretty nice for BBQ. They have more engaged with the Taric and the Jarvan to get on top of the enemy team. But of course, Jin Air wants to deny that if possible.
Long wards, stopwatches, and low engage means that for now, the game has stalled. Not much action to speak about. You say it was very bloody in the first 10 minutes, 12 minutes, but from there, structures haven't really rolled down. We don't really have too many long lanes to talk about. So for now, at least, it has been the farming phase in the mid game. Sad to see it stall out a bit. Misses his tactical sweep that time.
Yeah. Still did a nice chunk, but it is GP. Close to stealing it was Teddy there. We'll have to wait and see when these teams want to go for Baron, because as of right now, BBQ has, I think it's 4 control wards around the Baron. Jin Air doesn't really have an option of getting in there until they can clear out the vision.
But you kind of have to stick those 4 control wards and push up vision, and only now did we see Trick walk up, clear out vision, put a deep ward on the enemy red buff. Easier for BBQ to play the Baron game than it is for Jin Air because of someone like Trick who can face check and not die to a turnaround from the side of Jin Air. So probably going to see them fulfill the role of an aggressor when it comes to Baron startups. They're the ones that have the better comp for actually setting up for Baron. But now the setup is good, but every time the aggressive wards are cleared, we're going to see 1 or 2 members of Jin Air walk up, clear a control ward. The lanes aren't going to be in the right position. You don't have top side pushing out because you don't have top lane inhibitor. And with top lane inhibitor, sorry, not top lane inhibitor, top lane outer turret still up for the side of Jin Air, it's actually very, very difficult for them to get safe enough vision to start a Baron. So the end result, sadly, Valdez, is farm, farm, farm.
I feel like if there's a jungler to make action happen, it is Umti. To his demise at times, as he goes a little bit too far, but does mean that maybe he will make something happen in this game. He's
going very aggressive in the build, going for the solo queue special of both of the lethality items next to the warrior enchant. Really trying to force armor out of the enemy team, but they were already going to opt into that with top lane being this Camille. So interesting to see. We don't often see this aggressive a build. Usually it's stalled by a QSS and a Hex Drinker.
Yeah.
So just accepting that if he gets hit by a Trouble Bubble, he will be dead.
He wants the option to be one-shotting players such as Kalista and the Zoe, but also to do some decent damage to the tanks as well. Even the Gangplank, not much armor, only has the Ninja Tabby right now.
The Trick already has, picked up from his earlier stopwatch, upgraded. Now it has a lot of tankiness on his side, not just the war marks, but just having armor and magic resist means that burst from lethality going to be outscaled pretty heavily.
Yeah, Jarvan's really the main tank of this composition. Of course, he does pick up the
Stone Plate. Yeah, the Stone Plate being in position there really does slow down the rise of any sort of flat armor penetration or lethality.
Oh boy, Trick. I say oh boy, but really we were just talking about how tanky he was.
He's got some Taric armor now too with the Bastion link. That's great.
Yeah. Okay, Sowan's finally cracked the outer turret here. Nice little extra bit of gold for our carry Camille.
So how does Jin Air win the game? Because we kind of said, all right, BBQ better comp for setting up around Baron. What does Jin Air do? They need Camille to be in the position to actually kill the Gangplank. My criticism of KSV yesterday when they were running Gnar is I'll hold the point. Big headbutt pulverize, what does it mean?
Yeah, it's 4-on-2 right now. Wraith is getting pretty tanky, but you can see that they're still scared about the engage. The Trouble Bubble is going to land on a Wraith, and it doesn't matter how tanky he is. Now it looks like Justice is going to get caught out here. That's going to be a free 2 for 0 in a botched engage. Not going for that one, and BBQ is going to go for the Baron now.
Yeah, Jin Air just got too aggressive. Wraith went for the headbutt pulverize, and they all had to think about it for a second. They weren't sure what to do. Baron's down to 5,000. Umti equal level with Trick. He's going to go for the 50-50.
It's going to be up to him. He's going to try to go for the combo. He gets Ezreal. Umti doesn't look like he's confident enough. He doesn't want to go in. It would be only he and Sowan who would get the buff, but either way, that's going to be the Baron going over to BBQ.
He didn't have a control ward to put into the pit, so he did not have vision of the health bar. We know there would have been a line ball, would have been close, but he couldn't have known that. Someone will take an in and turret as an answer. A hollow victory for certain. That mistake was on Wraith, though. I was going to talk about the setup Jin Air required to actually win this game. He tried to skip steps and just initiate, saw that he could get a 2-man headbutt pulverize, and that would be enough. but no one was there to capitalize. Justice especially was caught with his pants down, tried to use the WQ for damage, then didn't have his soldiers in position, died as his ult was used. Watch the replay. Camille's not teleporting here. She's not going to be there. Headbutt Pulverize starts. Teddy has to walk from mid lane. Justice was clearing wards on the top side. Consider what Justice can do. We're late game. We're level 17 Azir. We're looking for consistent damage, but he's not in position to do the damage. The call there was clearly late or perhaps absent, and it just ended up speeding up BBQ's Baron take. That was looking like it was going to stall out for another 10 minutes.
Attempt once again with the spot-on trouble bubble. Gave them a much easier clear of the Alistar, even through his ultimate damage reduction. Getting the very long replay here of, you know, another trouble bubble that hits onto Teddy, even as the Ezreal couldn't get away from that one.
Very interesting what's happening here. We're seeing actually a base race attempted by the side of Jin Air. Azir and a Trinity Force Camille do ridiculous damage to structures. They don't expect that they don't want to try to defend because they're afraid of a turret dive ending the game, but they will end up losing their inhibitor. With the Azir, could they have stalled out the game? It's always hard to tell when it comes to Baron buff. Clearly the answer they thought was no. It ends up just being in a turret for an inhibitor for the side of BBQ.
I feel like it was no, right? Even with the Azir, I don't think they could have cleared out the minion waves with the Baron buff. Would have taken a little bit longer for BBQ, sure, but maybe more of an eventuality that they knew was going to happen.
It's one of those.
Decided to take another turret instead.
It's one of those very compositionally dependent thing of they had Kha'Zix, so they didn't have a tank jungler, and also the enemy had a Taric. So you just Taric ultimate, walk up to the turret, Azir has to move back, and then you take the structure. So in this particular 5v5 sense, I tend to agree, but when you have an Azir, there's always that outside chance that he can interrupt us. Oh, Teddy. He doesn't heal, but he's very close. You know, he's a needless large run away from just killing him straight up.
That he is, and if you can consistently hit a guy like Teddy, you're taking the one carry out of the game just like that. And there's a reason why we're seeing more and more Zoe, especially when Jin Air does the banning of the Galio for BBQ. They're like, hey, okay, we'll just first pick it. We'll see if you can deal with it. And so far, the answer has been no.
And Azir into it as well has been something we've already known is not the best, as cannot take any sort of damage from anyone. I feel like the build here from kind of accelerating the demise after Wraiths engage is he's kind of a non-factor. He's someone that dies to a trouble bubble. He's someone that dies, and so many members on Jin Air die. He's picked up a QSS now, but will that even save him if the Battlestar hits? My inkling is no. Ocean Drake is going to be free. Things getting tricky for Jin Air.
Yeah, not looking too good. They're not really allowing Teddy to get to 6 items and to carry on the Ezreal. Had a harder time in lane. His farm is good, as always. Just 1 CS out of the Kalista, but
his
really
storm is
he hasn't had an option or an opportunity to carry at all.
His storm is gathering, though, Valdez.
True. He's got a storm in his back pocket.
Needs that timer to read 60 or 70 rather than 34. 40 minutes when things start to get interesting. I believe it's 45 AD at 40 minutes into the game, so it's more than a BF sword's worth of AD. And from there, it only gets sweeter. I think it was 350 AD last time we moused over Teddy.
350?
He's at the moment, altogether.
Oh, okay.
Not from the Gathering Storm.
Like,
no. That's probably like 170 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
So we're a couple of weeks away from that.
350 AP at 90 minutes?
I think it's 316. It was around there. It's just over 300.
It was up there.
And a lot of AD too. So AD a more expensive stat than AP.
We're seeing you were talking about the demise of Kha'Zix in this game with the builds, but especially Kha'Zix from behind that never really have an opportunity to one-shot anyone. They always look very useless as MT just Wing members in the jungle and then running away. That's kind of been his job so far.
Yeah, we had control around the Gangplank lane. We never saw the turret dive really come up to much success. Only a couple of visits, and from there it was a lot more even after one turnaround gank by Trick. A favorite. Oh, nice turn damage onto Tempt. Have to always remember that you're not untargetable when you pop over the wall, so there is always that small window to make something happen, but she always will return. So even if you CC her, you don't necessarily get that extra time to just kill her instantly.
Yeah, it's really going to be up to the timing of Teddy, the reaction time to do enough damage to discourage him from going over the wall.
And you can't do a standing damage trade. You will not win if you trade buttons with the Zoe, and both of you hit because Zoe's burst is oh so much higher even than
you have to dodge. You have to dodge and you have to do damage.
EQ is certainly going to be drawn there.
Well, again, I mean, we're in a spot that doesn't look too great for Jin Air. Yes, they're down 6,000 gold, but again, they have Azir and they have Teddy, and he is going to be farming up to that Fountain Laser damage, 6 items eventually on the Ezreal. So definitely do not count these guys out. If you guys are already waiting for game 2, it's definitely not decided just yet in this one.
The strength of So1 is the reason why this game is delayed a bit. Umti gonna put on his jump jets and get away with the ultimate. Because So1 is pushing lanes so well, there's never a case where these super minions are hitting the bot side and BBQ can look for a turret dive with 4. They want to have 4 people dive the turret with the turret ultimate while Gangplank is pushing in a minion wave. And those two things together for now are impossible. So1 is very, very powerful. You still don't win a standing trade. And we don't see Crazy going for the Phantom Dancer Infinity Edge to really push him over the edge. That ends up being a very late game option. So for now, can't actually take So1 in a 1v1.
Already that inhibitor turret taking damage. We got Zoe alone up in the top side. She does have Banshee's Veil, but they were looking for a pick, 100%. Not gonna happen. Now Umti pushing forward around the Baron side. They do have vision of it right now. But it looks like BBQ has other ideas as they want to go for a pick and more deep vision before they consider a Baron.
Yeah, So1 is the one interrupting the Baron. If no one makes a mistake on Jin Air's side, So1 so aggressively pushing up raises questions for BBQ. They have to take a risk to start the Baron. It cannot be the 5v4, as a Trouble Bubble did hit onto Umti, who jumps away. QSS still up, and they're going to start the Baron here.
Yep, they are doing it. Control Ward comes down. They see the health. Temps trying to go 1v1 here. See if it just goes for a trade. No TP just yet. Camille not even coming up. They might just give it away. They're saying, okay, if we lose a Baron fight right now, maybe we just lose the game. Wraith forced to ultimate and flash away, so they just give the Baron away here.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. Umti could have gone for a steal. They had vision of it, but like you say, they're worried about the game ending due to Taric pushing down. So giving up Baron, very, very risky. Maybe So1's strength in the 4-1 won't be relevant if they get the right engage, or if they get a pick onto someone like Teddy. Does he just die here?
Looks like he does. It's 1-hit damage out of the Zoe. That's what happens when you're an 80 carry in this meta against the Zoe. You are going to get one shot. Down he does go. So they lose their Ezreal. Definitely going to have a harder time pushing out this push.
Insane stuff from Temp. Knew that with the flash, he had a very good chance of killing him. The one shot felt like it will be real. It certainly is. And with Teddy dead, it doesn't matter how strong So1 is. So1's recalled, and BBQ, they want to at least ruin the base. 2 inhibitors is a good start to that.
And they still have the Baron buff for 2 minutes 30 with Elder coming up in 30 seconds. So they're going to go back, head towards the Elder, and try to go for a follow-up push, perhaps even take out 3 inhibitors here. Let's get another replay of this, why don't we?
Yeah, the Trouble Bubble hits, and if you remember Teddy's interview, Valdez, what did he say? He said very clearly, if you're playing Vayne, I believe in tumbling forward. He does like to take risks. He tries to outplay. He does not have a QSS. He feels like he needs Bloodthirster for the overshield and for the ability just to win a team fight through sheer damage. The damage drop-off there with the QSS could be relevant in a different fight, but when it comes to the burst, the fact that he was tied up there did lose Jin Air GreenWings 2 inhibitors.
Yeah, he had the opportunity to flash. You'll notice that he has it up. I'm not 1,000% sure, but I'm pretty sure that he had his flash available, and
he didn't feel like the extra distance would keep him alive, and always hard to say. Elder turned on to Ren secure. They didn't go for the Baron. Do they have to go for the Elder?
They got the Trouble Bubble, and even Wraith, even Alistar can't get in there. He didn't have his ultimate up, and so he's just having to back away. And immediately after that happens, they're like, well, we lost our tank. I guess that's going down. We can't do anything about it.
Yeah, Zoe is making objectives free for the side of BBQ. The lack of tanks, the fact that no one is threatening the Zoe or able to just shrug off her damage, means that BBQ can walk from objective to objective, pick them up with no contest on the side of Jin Air. 50-50s become 70-30s when Zoe is involved and is fed here. 6 items with the death cap that wasn't even needed to burst down Teddy last time out.
She's getting out of control. You have to wonder in game 2, win or lose. You'd have to think that it is going to be banned out in the next one, or at least they'll keep Galio available, or some kind of counter, because this is getting out of hands here. Zoe just making these pushes even more free. They've got the Elder and the Baron now.
They should just use Taric ultimate and take the turret here. They're going to go for it.
Yep, they're just going to push on in. Cannon Barrage coming down. No Cosmic Radiance needed just yet. That's going to be the 3rd inhibitor taken out now. Oh boy, almost hits Teddy.
Yeah, the zone of that trouble bubble, if it doesn't hit, is still huge here. So1 trying to get an answering inhibitor. So1's doing everything he can. He has no value trying to wave clear with his team, but Taric ultimate can just overforce and take some Nexus turrets.
See you later, MC. You're not in this fight anymore. There's not a lot of super minions pushing in with this wave, so they're trying to push in as hard as possible. They're gonna get Justice chunked down as well. Another super minion's gonna come in from the right side, but they're gonna go for the engage. Raid trying to go in, but it's not gonna work out. They don't have any follow-up. Just trying to make it last stand if possible. It's going to be all up to Teddy here on the top side. Justice also available on the Azir means that they cannot push in as for right now.
Yeah, taking turns here, trying to buy time. So1 still being super tricky in the base. Still 1v1s the gangplank with relative ease. Still headaches, I hear an ultimate.
Yeah, they're going to push on in, and while they get the flash
Watch the
down,
turn.
Yeah, MT coming from the left side too. Justice flashing away. You can see that Kalista getting really, really deep, but they can't take him out. MT not able to do the job on the backside, is going to have to just leap away, but he may not get out of this one. Just not having to escape, only his flash. But now he's going to be running up towards the top side with minions in the base. This is not even done just yet. They're going to flash in and they get the Alistar once again. Camille, she is going to be recalling. She has to come back and try to stop this. Is it going to be up to So1 and the 3 carries here to try to take this away? In comes Empty. They're going to make one last stand. Empty is going to go down on the right side though. So1 not able to do it all alone. We'll see if they can get it though. Trick getting pretty low. The Guardian Angel is going to be procced, and now it's all up to Teddy 1v4, and he cannot do it. So1 after the GA goes down. That's going to be game number 1, a flashy finish, and they finally do it. Zoe, the MVP of that game.
Absolutely, Valdez. Zoe put them over the edge in every single way there. The Taric was also a master stroke, and Umti's Kha'Zix could not get enough work done early to just be a ward in the late game. Unfortunately for him, had no threat, could do nothing to the full tank Jarvan. Felt like BBQ really put their draft together well, but the Zoe playing oh so well. The trouble bubble onto Teddy probably took about 15 minutes off the game time required because they got 2 inhibitors when everyone was alive from the side of Jin Air GreenWings. So congratulations to BBQ. Anyone thinking this will be a short night has sadly been mistaken. Jin Air GreenWings go down in game 1, and the man on your screen, Tempt, is the big reason for it.
This is all going according to my plan, Pop. BBQ takes 1 game, kind of a wacky one. Zoe with this power against the composition that Jin Air drafted, but I think in game 2, they have a lot of information to absorb and say, okay, we can't do this, we can't let the Zoe go through and draft a similar composition, we need a counter, and maybe Jin Air just goes back to their, super defensive, let's go to 70 minutes composition, and they take 2 very slow games. That's my prediction.
Either you need a counter pick in lane to Zoe, or you need tanks and engage to make Zoe pay, make her team pay. They had neither, so they lose.
That they do. BBQ coach not smiling just yet, actually. Talking a lot about what happened in the game. As you guys might imagine, Zoe is going to be the champion of the damage here.
Really not a fan of the Azir versus Zoe matchup. Crown didn't make me a believer. Certainly, Justice didn't make me a believer either. I wonder if we'll see Grace coming in for game 2 after the loss here. That's one of the changes Jin Air could make. Things pretty good for the side of BBQ. Credit to also Crazier. We did not speak about much. Did fine in the matchup against So1. I liked So1's endeavor. I think with expectations, he did better than he expected on the Camille, but against the Zoe, he was, just unable to really make anything happen. His time was best made, split pushing, so couldn't use the ultimatum. Try to trap that damn Zoe in a team fight. So in the end, Zoe prevails. Congratulations to BBQ.
Yeah.
First game up here, but I think we're still in the ultra early game of this series, even though the first game went 43 minutes.
I'd have to agree. And, well, guys, we are going to go to another break before we do get to game number 2. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with BBQ versus Jin Air.